Hi, I'm Carolyn Auerbach, and I've seen many of you from the time we began Shir Hadash, and then I took a, what do you call it, Jeff? My son Jeff.
A sabbatical.
Terry, huh?
Sabbatical.
Sabbatical. And I'm back, and I have to tell you that if you know anyone who's a little older and they're not real happy and they want to do something, just call up the synagogue and they'll get them looking better, because my day begins Friday night and ends on Saturday night. And it's not that I'm in a bad place, it's just that it's not this place.
Nice.
Okay, and so now what do I do here? Oh, Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvorach. Baruch atah Adonai Hamvorach Le'olam Voed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Olam. Asher b'charbanu mikol hamim b'notan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen.
Amen. Vayru oto merachok uv'ter mikrov alechem v'naklu oto l'hamito v'yomeru ish el achiv hine ba hechalamu tel hazeh ba ve'ata lachu v'nahargehu v'nashlichehu be'achar habarot ve'amarnu chayara achaltehu ונראה מה יהיו חלומותיו, וישמע ראובן, ויצליחהו מאדם, ויאמר לא נקנו נפש, ויאמר עליכם ראובן, אל תשפכו דם, השליכו אותו אל הבור הזה אשר במדבר, ויד אל תשליכו בו, Laman hatziloto me'adam lehashivu al aviv.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam asher natan lanu Torah emes v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Stand longer.
Me'ach, Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach.
And we are co-sponsoring the Kiddush next week because our daughter Molly couldn't be in this week for my mom's birthday. So please, even though it's not a Shir week, please come back to shul next week.
Yes, come back. Who's number 6? Ya'amod. Hillel Shmuel ben.
Reuven
Heschel.
Ita Ana.
Ve'ita Ana. Shishi.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
My name is Howard Lipschutz. I'm here celebrating the first yortzeit of my mother. She passed away 92 years young, about a year ago. My mother loved music, and she also loved to sing. She grew up in a very small town in Illinois. They were the only Jewish family, and she was an extremely proud member of the church choir, being the only Jewish family. She continued her singing throughout the years, including high holiday choirs at her shul in Sioux City, Iowa, where I grew up, as well as when they moved to Grand Rapids, Michigan, being in the choir there, where my sister lived. When Shir Chadash started, I shared with her what we had here, and she was thrilled. And every time I come to Shir Chadash, it's a very special thing. And this past year, after she's passed, it's meant even more to me to be here at Shir Chadash. So thank you.
Thank you.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Barach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayehi kasher ba Yosef elachav. Vayafshitu et Yosef et kutanto et kitonet hapasim asher alav. Vayikachuhu vayashlichuto habora v'haborek ein bo mayim. Vayeshvu lechol lechem. Vayisu eneihem vayiru v'hinei orcha tishmeli ba'am migilad ukmalehem nesim nechot utri valot holchim lehorid mitzrayma vayomer Yehuda elachav ma beta ki naharog et achinu v'chisinu et damo lechu ונמכרנו לישמעאלים, וידנו אל תהיבו, כי אחינו ושרינו הוא, וישמעו אחיו, ויאמרו אנשים מדיינים זכרים, וימשכו ויעלו את יוסף מן הבור, וימכרו את יוסף לישמעאלים ב20 כסף, ויביאו את יוסף מצרימה.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Ya'amod. No, it's not you. Oh. Ta'amod. Zaid bat Shimshon. Vechava. Shvi'it.
Hi, I'm Olivia.
Hi, Olivia.
Shabbat Shalom. I don't have anything profound to say. Thanks for being here. Thanks for singing with us. I think that's it.
Page 204, 23, verse 23.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Barach Le'olam
Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen.
Verse 26. Thank you.
וישב ראובן אל הבור.
Which verse are we on?
וישב ראובן אל הבור, והנה אין יוסף בבור, ויקרא את בגדיו, ויושב אל אחיו, ויאמר, הילד איננו, ואני עניבה, ויכחו את כתונת יוסף, וישחטו שעיר עזים, ויטבלו את הכונת בדם, וישלחו את הכונת הפסים, ויביאו אל אביהם, ויאמרו זאת מצאנו, החרנו הכתונת, בנך היא אם לא, ויכרע ויאמר כתונת בנים, חיה חלתו, טרוף יוסף, ורכה יעקב שמלותיו, וישם שק באמנותיו, ויתבל אל בנו ימים רבים, ויקומו כל בניו וכל בנותיו לנחמו, ויאמן להתחנם, ויאמר כי ירד אל בני עבר שעליו יבכתו אביו, והמדנים אחותו אל מצרים לפוטופר, סריס פרעה שר הטבחים.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yasher koach. We'll take a moment now to cover the scroll and offer words of blessing for those in need of healing. I invite us to please rise together as we sing Mishabera.
No, I can say.
שברך אבותינו אברהם יצחק ויעקב ואמותינו שרה רבקה רחל ולאה הוא יברך וירפא את החולים. We invite you to call to mind those in need of healing in your own life. הקדוש ברוך הוא ימלא רחמים עליהם להחזיקם לרפאותם וישלח להם מהרה רפואה שלמה מן השמיים, רפואת הנפש ורפואת הגוף בתוך שאר החולים, ויחזק את ידי העוסקים בצרכיכם, שבת ומזוק ורפואה קרובה לבוא, השפג עליו בזמן קריב, ונאמר Amen. May the Kadosh Baruch Hu brought healing to our ancestors, bring healing to all in need, and let us say Amen. You can have a seat. I think what we'll do now is, before we lift and dress the Torah, we'll take some time now for Torah study together. So I invite you to, I made 50 copies. Some people might need to share source sheets. And you can also follow along in your Chumash. I'm looking at page 202, 203. Where I want to start is on verse 18. And so what has happened to this point is that we know that Jacob has now established a family with grown sons. His 11th son, Joseph, we learn is his favorite son. Clearly his favorite, the firstborn of Rachel, of Rachel, his beloved wife, that the one that he originally wanted, right? And her son, Joseph, is his favorite. And he makes him a special coat. We're not going to discuss what the nature of this coat is, but it marks him as special. And we also learn in this parsha that his father asks him to be an errand boy for him, to go look after the other boys, to go see how they're doing. Are they doing their job? It says to go after their shalom, to go see as to how they're doing and how the flock is doing. We can impute to that positive or negative, and there's different interpretations. But they go to look after him. He goes to look after them. And we see in verse 18, so he goes and he's searching for them. He actually comes upon a person who helps him, give him some direction. He saw him over there. Verse 18, Vayiru oto merachok, uveterem Yikrav alehem. He's the Vayitnaklu oto lehamito. They saw him from afar. I think that's key here. And they, and in the meantime, while he was coming towards them, they said, "Let's kill him." Right? And they said to one another, "Look, here comes the dreamer. Here comes that kid. He's such a brat. He's always tattling on us. Let's kill him." And we read in verse 21, Reuven heard this, and he desired to rescue him. And he uses a stratagem to put off his brothers a little bit. Maybe it's about placating their anger for a moment. He conspires to come. He wants to come back and get him out of the hole. He says, let's not kill him with our own hands. Let's throw him in a pit. It's a cistern, in all likelihood. It's some sort of created pit there. And he thinks he's going to come back and rescue him. They stripped him of his clothes. They threw him in the pit. And then this is, I think this is really interesting comedic kind of subtlety in the text, because it is kind of comedic if you can imagine this scene. They sit down to have a meal together. Right? They throw him in the pit and they sit down to eat together, which is really chutzpahdik, right? I mean, it's really cruel. They throw him in the pit, they sit down to eat. They see some Midianites or maybe Ishmaelites coming by. We're going to kind of gloss over that. They sell him ultimately to these Ishmaelites. But it says in verse 24, where we pick up on our source sheet, Vayikachuhu vayashlichu oto habora. They took him, they sent him towards the pit, into the pit. Vehabor reik ein bo mayim. The pit, the cistern was empty, there was no water in it. All right, so let's take a look then at what Rashi, the medieval commentator, says about this. Vehabor reik ein bo mayim. The pit is empty, there's no water in it. Mimashma shene'emar vehabor reik, eineni yodea she'ein habor mayim, she'ein bo mayim. Right, so this is a classic, you got to understand this is a classic rabbinic interpretation move. The Torah is always, every word in the Torah, every crown on every letter is meaningful. Therefore, the Torah cannot be saying something that is superfluous. Right, so Rashi makes this very sharp interpretation here. Why do I need to know? Didn't I already know that why do I need to know that the pit is empty and then it tells me that there's no water in it? Right? If it's empty, it's empty. It's empty. Why do you have to say there's no water in it? What the verse is trying to communicate, says Rashi, is by pointing out that it does not contain water, namely that while it doesn't contain water, there is something in it. It does contain snakes and scorpions. Okay, just hold on to that idea. I don't, where he's getting that idea. Now, other interpretations also point out that ein bo mayim means it wasn't filled with water, therefore they didn't try to drown him, right? Again, Reuven's point here, what he's trying to accomplish is not to lay hands on Yaakov and actively kill him. Take a look then at the Talmud from Masechet Shabbat. Rav Kahana said, Rav Natan bar Manyume expounded in the name of Rav Tanchum, a Hanukkah candle, which one placed above 20 cubits, is invalid, like a sukkah and a mavoi. So just to give you some context, so what they're talking about is that these things cannot be too far up. Or let me pause there for a second, because I feel like we need to make a connection here. Why are we talking about Hanukkah at all of a sudden, when we're talking about throwing Yosef into the pit? But we're going to make a connection here. It's a roundabout way. So let's just pause here and understand what's going on in the Talmud. They're talking about what is a height that's appropriate for a sukkah or for a mavoi. A mavoi is the doorpost, the top of a doorpost. So if you're concerned about making an eruv, for example, you can't have an eruv that's more than 20 amot high, or at least a mavoi, because that's just, what's the reason there? And a sukkah can't be, this is about 30 feet or so, 30, 35 feet. High. Why can't a sukkah be that high? Let's say you had like an 8 by 12 sukkah, right? And it's 30 feet high. It's not a sense of enclosure. It's also not a sense of really obscuring the sky in any way at that point. It's really far, right? A sukkah is supposed to be some balance between a covering that obscures and also allows the sky to come through. Yeah. Oh, maybe it's not fragile, really. I mean, a structure that tall is really like a 4-story building or something, right? Yeah. And a mavoi, an eruv, that's pretty high up off the ground, kind of hard to see at that point. It's kind of hard to discern that that's a deliberate, kind of fenced-in space. And what about a Chanukiah? So the other thing that is supposed to be no further than 30 feet off the ground is a Chanukiah. What's that? You're not going to see it. Why do you need to? I mean, you can see. I mean, you see the light. You'd see a small. It looks small at that distance. 30 feet is probably, I don't know, maybe from where I'm standing to the back wall over there.
Yes, but you'd see it horizontally, but if it was up, you would not see it. You'd maybe see that there was something up there, but you wouldn't see the light.
Right.
Because the light needs to be seen.
Right. The light needs to be seen. Why does the light need to be seen? What are getting really into what is the purpose of the Chanukiah?
To remember the story.
Pirsume Nisa, right? To actually, in modern Hebrew, lefarsem is to advertise or to announce, to show, to display, publicize the nes, the miracle of Hanukkah, right? So why is 30 feet too high? I don't know. I mean, you certainly, I mean, at that distance, and we're talking about off the ground, so, you know, you're supposed to actually display your Chanukiah publicly. It's supposed to be near your doorway, right? You're actually supposed to display it to the public. And the timing and the location of your Chanukiah really is intended for people to see it. 30 feet is pretty high off the ground. You can't really distinguish between the flames. You can't really see it as a distinct Chanukiah. It just looks like a lamp or a torch lit at that distance, right? So, and they connect it to our verse here, which is really weird and interesting. As it is written in Genesis, and the cistern is empty, there's no water in it. From the implication of what is said, the cistern is empty. I do not know that there's water in it. Rather, what it is teaching is that there is not water in it, but there are snakes and scorpions in it. Rabbah said, therefore, a Hanukkah candle, its mitzvah is to set it in next to the door. And they go on into the discussion of where a Chanukiah should be placed. Why connect it to this story, Vayeshev, other than its proximity in the year that it tends to fall around this time of year? The rabbis' minds go from, these distances are just too far for a Chanukiah, for a sukkah, for a mavoy. And we know that because Joseph was thrown in a pit that was 20 amot deep, and so what?
See that there were snakes.
They couldn't see. They couldn't see that there were snakes and scorpions in it. They really couldn't actually see all the way to the bottom of the pit. They couldn't see what danger is there. Now, if Reuben had wanted to actually rescue his brother, then of course he wouldn't throw him into a pit that has snakes and scorpions in it, knowingly, right? Because it's dangerous. Yeah.
Can we take this more to a metaphorical
Yeah.
and spiritual level of these brothers went too far?
They went too far,
They
literally and
went
figuratively.
down into the pit. For brothers to do that to each other is too huge a distance, and he was thrown into the dark. We know that later the story will go up and down out of darkness and light, but here at this point, it is, you have gone too far.
Yeah. One of the literary themes throughout the Joseph stories is that he goes up, he moves in directions up and down into dark pits in prison. He goes up and down into light and dark, and they go too far, right? They also plot when he's far, right? We started by pointing out that he's at a distance when they plot against him, and they throw him into this pit. Turn the page over. It'll give us a little bit more understanding of this interpretation. You must say that Reuben and his brothers did not know that there were snakes and scorpions, because Reuben planned to return Joseph to their father. And do not wonder at the fact that they could not see what was in the pit, for according to what is written in the Talmud, to cast means a distance of 20 amot, 25 to 30 feet. And that is the verb used here. This means that the pit was at least 20 amot deep, and we hold that eyes cannot see something at a depth or a height or a depth of 20 amot, as we hold regarding Hanukkah candles and schach of Sukkah. And this is precisely why these two comments are juxtaposed in the Talmud. Regarding candles that were placed above 20 amot, it's unacceptable because the eyes don't normally see that. That's just a distance that's, I don't know, it seems kind of arbitrary, but they said that's just too far. You can't really make out a Chanukiah at that distance, and let alone that they are adjacent comments in the Torah, but that they are authored by the same person, going back to the Midrashic interpretation, indicated that the reasoning of these two comments is the same, that the eye doesn't normally see that distance. Okay, so Joseph is at a distance too far to be seen, too far for them to know that the pit has danger in it. What does that then, why make this connection to Hanukkah and Schach? Any thoughts on that? How do we come to be, so I want to build off of Cherie's comment, and I saw your hand up. Let's go back to this moment where the brothers throw Joseph in the pit, right? How is it that they can do that, right? Part of how they can do that is by distancing themselves. One of the ways that we justify or somehow work through psychologically our desire to do violence to people is it's easier to do that to somebody far away, right? Reuben doesn't want to kill him actively. It's not really clear. I think he wants to come back and save him, but he definitely doesn't want the brothers to actively kill him. They say, throw him in the pit and he'll just die, right? So already, one of the tools of cruelty is distance and othering, right? Go ahead.
Especially because Hanukkah's coming up. I'm also thinking about how there's two parts to the idea of Hanukkah, which is first the metaphorical or the spiritual element of light and the brightness of that light.
Yeah.
The light we do that on Shabbat, we see our hands, we see the light. But then there's also the element of dedication, right? That Hanukkah is meant to rededicate the temple. And in
Yeah.
that way, we're rededicating ourselves to commitment to Hashem or whatever we see as like sort of that all important. And in relating it to Hanukkah, the story to Hanukkah, and to the brightness and the light of that, I think you're exactly right that it's if you cannot see the light, whether that's Hanukkah or a person,
Right.
then you are much more likely to be ruled by the evil inclination that allows you to do those things because of the darkness.
Right. So you said many things in there. Ma'alin bekodesh ve'in yordin. We always seek to increase light in the world. That's one of the principles of Hanukkah. We increase light. Are we doing okay in time? Okay. And that the human soul, it says it on this Ner Tamid that we dedicated to Kobe, Ner Adonai Nishmat Adam, right? God's candle, God's flame is the human soul. So when we can't see other people's souls, when we put them at a distance, right, the mitzvah of Hanukkah is Pirsume Nisa. You have to actually be close enough to communicate with somebody, to communicate that light and miracle, to cast that light onto something. At a distance, it doesn't really cast a light anymore. You can see it from a distance, but it doesn't cast a shadow. It's not close enough. You have to be close to people, to have empathy, to see the light in other people, to share your light with other people. And we've been through this traumatic period of the last few years that I don't think we've even fully understood. And I'm going to take just a couple of comments more because I've been told that we're running late. And I'm thinking right now a lot about the ways in which we need to practice these muscles of empathy and proximity again, right? Whether it's about coming out of the pandemic or just the distances that have grown between people over time, the ways that technology distances us from one another, the ways that we fool ourselves into thinking that we have proximity to others through these technologies. You know, just this week I was on a conference call with Governor Polis. I'm on this interfaith clergy council, and every once in a while they'll call a meeting. It was online, and he was trying to get the word out about an influx of migrants, of refugee seekers, of asylum seekers that are pouring into Denver right now. Right? And he's reaching out to the faith community to see this problem, to see them, to see the people that are coming, and to offer shelter and to offer aid and offer resources. Mayor Hancock also declared a state of emergency this week because of the same influx of migrants. And the problem that we have in our world is not seeing. I mean, I'll tell you the truth, I wasn't really paying attention to this story at all until the conference call, right? Until, I know it had been in the headlines, but I wasn't paying attention. The spiritual move we need to make in life, both interpersonally and in society, is to see other people, to see that light from another person and to allow ourselves to be close enough to other people to share our light with them. I'm going to cut it short now because I think we do have to wrap up. We're going to lift and dress the Torah and then conclude our service. So, I'm sorry, what? Do you want? I know you do. Really quickly? Go ahead, Shri.
Really quickly. Okay, so a way to be able to tie this together is that we do have to be able to see in the dark, in the darkness, in the things that happen that are not for the good, that people have done, that we have done, in order to be able to recognize in the Hanukkah that light that, thanks to Hillel, only increases, and we have to be close enough to that light to see the increase of that and know that it's our hearts that helps bring back that light.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing us back to light and dark and that metaphor. It's precisely in the darkness that we need to see. Please rise as we lift and dress the Torah. Yamdu Amagbia v'hagolelet vezot
HaTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael avi Adonai v'yad Moshe. Yalla la la la
Page 184.
Etz Chaim hi
Machazikim ba betom hecha neusha teracheha tarcheno Chaychonu v'mechon v'chayircho b'Yisrael b'agalav v'zman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach leolam leol meol mayan yitbarach Yibarach v'ishtabach, v'yitpa'ar v'yirma min haseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudshah brichu, le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, Amen. Titkabel tzlot chonu v'chon, dechol Yisrael, kadam, avon b'shmaya v'imru, Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. Remain standing now for Aleinu, followed by Mourner's Kaddish, page 205. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol,
לתת גדול יוצא בראשית, שלא עשה נגעי הרצון, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלאך
המלאכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. שנו שמיים ויעש. הישועות האלה לכם. והשבותה, והשבותה, אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים, הוא האלוהים, והשבותה, השבותה, אל לבביך, אל לבביך, כי אדוני, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים, הוא האלוהים, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו, ושמו, ושמו אחד. Mourner's Kaddish is on page 207. We invite mourners and those reciting your Kaddish and those for whom it is your custom to remain standing. We want to recognize Lori Morris, who recently lost her mother, Sally Spivak. We continued blessing in her memory. I don't recall if we had any other recent losses. I don't think so. May their memories and all the memories of our loved ones for whom we say Kaddish be a blessing. On page 207. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrach hiruteh ve'amlich malchuteh, v'chayechon u'vyomechon u'chayei dechol be'it Yisrael, b'galal v'izman kari ve'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam ol me'ol maya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudsha brichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. You can have a seat briefly, and we'll close our service in a moment with a closing melody, and then we invite you to join us for Kiddush. Today, I want to invite up Alex Kasdan. Alex, as you can see from her very important pin that she's wearing, the name tag, she has just joined our board of directors, which is really exciting. And she's going to make the announcements.
Okay. So first, Mazel Tov and thank you to the Gottlieb family for co-sponsoring today's Kiddush in honor of Peter's birthday. Get out your lightsabers and prepare yourselves to go where no one has gone before as we blast off to the stars with HEA's intergalactic Hanukkah celebration tomorrow afternoon at 4 p.m.
It's going to be awesome.
The celebration will include music, a laser DJ dance party, a trip to the moon, a lakabar, and fun activities for all ages. Make sure to bring your menorahs for our community table lighting service and donations for our Hope to Home Tikkun Olam project. Details and registration are online. Please support our USY Hanukkah candle fundraiser. You can purchase online or at the Hanukkah celebration tomorrow. Our next Kavod on the Road senior program will take place on Tuesday, December 20th, featuring West Side Tales and Treasures with HEA member Sherry Caro Schwartz. Thank you. That was wrong. I apologize. RSVP online for this special afternoon. A new HEA Connect small group is being formed focusing on education and advocacy regarding the increase in anti-Semitism. We would love you to be part of this group. Please contact the Director of Engagement, Shir, to sign up for the group or register on our website under HEA Connect. We are also thankful for the work of our greeter safety team, and we would like to remind everyone to take notice of the sanctuary exits, should we ever need to use them, or in this case, the social hall. We are always in need of additional volunteers to help us, so we are not always relying on the same people each week. If you would like to help, please speak to Amir Kaufman at Kiddush or call the office. Happy Hanukkah and Shabbat Shalom.
Very nicely done. You can also talk to Leslie Alger right there if you're interested in what I call the anti-Semitism group. All right, we're going to conclude our service and wish you a happy Hanukkah starting tomorrow and Shabbat Shalom. What do we? Oh, say Shalom Bimrama, Hu Yasom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel. Shalom Bimroma, Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel ve'imru Amen ve'imru Amen. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Can I give you my whole pie? Thank you.